Defence Strategic Review. Here's what the Royal Australian Navy, RAN, must look like in the 2030s and beyond. The government commissioned the independent analysis of the RAN surface fleet earlier this year after the much-anticipated Defence Strategic Review to make substantive recommendations about the fleet. Defence Minister Richard Murley said that the future SSNs represented a dramatically different capability that had obvious implications for the overall structure of the Navy. Here are my thoughts on Australia restructuring its Navy. Comment below and let us know your thoughts on Australia restructuring its Navy. Capability requirements. While there is no official definition of surface combatants, Tier 1 is broadly understood to refer to large, high-end capabilities such as the Australian Navy's Hobart-class destroyers. In contrast, Tier 2 vessels are understood to be frigates. There should have been the inclusion of a Tier 3 warship, but it was never included. While the exact requirements are classified, it's understood that the review was primarily tasked with weighing the improved anti-submarine warfare capabilities delivered by AUKUS-class submarines. The Royal Australian Navy, RAN, must achieve full spectrum of anti-submarine, anti-surface, and anti-air warfare capabilities. In addition to these capabilities, RAN must be capable of launching swarm attacks using unmanned underwater vessels and kamikaze sea drones and deployment of Special Air Services commandos to anywhere in the Indo-Pacific. Tier 1, Additional Hobart-class Destroyer. HMAS Hobart is Australia's most advanced Navy warship. The Royal Australian Navy's newest and most advanced warship, HMAS Hobart, boasts state-of-the-art defence weaponry, including long-range missiles, torpedoes, and naval guns. The warship should have been upgraded from the beginning. Nevertheless, the warship needs to be upgraded to fire Standard Missile 6, Tomahawk cruise missiles and NSM missiles. Australia must build 3 more destroyers for the Royal Australian Navy, RAN. Tier 2 Development of Frigates. The government's response to the independent analysis of the Hunter-class program offers the opportunity to cut costs by freeing up money and workforce for a Tier 2 fleet of light frigates. Despite lacking an official requirement, Babcock Australasia, BAE Systems, Navantia Australia, Hyundai Heavy Industries and Lursen Australia offered to build frigates for the Navy. RAN needs to build frigates with 7,000 tons of displacement, boasting 32 cells C-Scepter vertical launch system, 16 naval strike missiles, a 76 mm main gun, 220 mm remote weapon systems, torpedoes, and 35 mm CIWS. This warship brings CEA radar, electronics, and subsystems from Leonardo, Saab and Thales. The government must reject BAE Systems' proposal to upscale Hunter-class frigate as an air warfare destroyer. This is a crazy idea as Hunter-class frigate would be too slow in high sea and heavy to operate in a nearshore environment. Tier 3, Offshore Patrol Boats or Corvette. Instead of fitting out Sea Dome and NSM missiles into Arafura-class OPV, if I were making the decision, I would scrap the Arafura offshore patrol vessel and replace it with 16 low-cost armed offshore patrol vessels or adept ThyssenKrupp corvette design proposed to Royal Australian Navy. The proposed design should offer 3,000 tons of OPV or corvette with 16 cells VLS, 8 surface-to-surface missiles, a 76 mm main gun, 220 mm remote weapon systems, torpedoes, and 35 mm CIWS. Maritime Strike Group. Australia should create a maritime strike group led by HMAS Canberra, which includes LHD, destroyer, and frigates, which will stay in the Indo-Pacific region. Building a strike group will make the Royal Australian Navy a 3-dimensional force multiplier combined with the Army and Air Force. International cooperation. Australia must collaborate and jointly develop surface combatants for itself and New Zealand, South Korea, and Japan. Cooperating and building warships will boost local manufacturing capability and align the Royal Australian Navy with regional allies. Australia needs to sign a bilateral agreement with the Indian Ocean and South China Sea countries to gain access to their naval bases, particularly Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Maldives, Brunei, Malaysia, and Mauritius. Local shipbuilding and workforce development. Australia must consider workforce development in shipbuilding, enhance capacity, and build raw materials locally. A tax offset is another way to invite these shipbuilders to build warships not only for Australia but for other countries as well. Australia lacks human resources development in all three branches of the military. Recruiting, training and retaining new sailors, cyber workforce, communications and marine engineers is critical for Australia's power projection in the Indo-Pacific region. Thanks for watching.
Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram.